Welcome to today's Odyssey. If you're trying to eradicate your laziness, you've come to the right place. According to the magnificent German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, you have the potential for greatness, but like most people, you have probably let it be destroyed by your own laziness. And you'll probably let your laziness destroy you because that's what the majority of us humans do. It's the natural tendency for most people. And from a purely statistical point of view, you're likely to fall into the majority. Great thinkers get frustrated with humanity because people are just so lazy. Laziness makes most people feel like nameless nobodies with lives on autopilot. They don't reach their potential or stand out from the crowd in any meaningful way. But here's the thing. We all have a little voice inside urging us to wake up and become our best selves. It's telling you, come on now, the life you're sleepwalking through right now, that isn't the real you. Follow your conscience, which calls to you, be yourself. All you are now doing, thinking, desiring is not you yourself. As Nietzsche makes it clear, the way to avoid being one of the mediocre masses is to do what might be considered the hardest thing in the world to do. Become who you are. Becoming who you are is the same thing as growing as a person. But rather than becoming who we are, Nietzsche feared that most of us would become what he called the last man, a person who has become so comfortable and lazy that progress itself has become a burden. To them, getting rich or rising to leadership seems like too much hassle. Basically, anything that demands real grit. Nietzsche thought laziness would win out, with comfort and stability prized over achievement or progress, and he warned that if we go down that soft path, we'd lose touch with the best parts of humanity. So if you value pleasure and comfort above everything else, you will inevitably lose your highest potential and become a last man. This idea is captured nicely in a fable by Aesop. All summer, a grasshopper spends his time singing, dancing, and enjoying the sun. Meanwhile, the ants are hard at work, storing up food for the winter. The grasshopper looks down on the ants and says, "These ants work too much and don't know how to enjoy life." Then he lies back and takes a nap. He continues this routine all summer, but eventually winter rolls around. The grasshopper realizes that he has no food stored up for the winter, and he goes to the ants and begs. "Please share some of your food with me. You looked down on us and didn't want to help us all summer. Now why don't you see how much all of that dancing and singing helps you this winter?" The ants turn their back on the grasshopper and walk away. This fable perfectly illustrates that endless condition of humanity. Many people are like the grasshopper, lazing about in comfort and seeking pleasure, sacrificing their future for the present moment. And eventually, when a catastrophe happens, they're forced to beg the hardworking ants, or people in our case, for help. To avoid becoming the grasshopper, you have to avoid making pleasure and comfort your highest value, because when pleasure and comfort are your highest value, you become lazy, and when you become lazy, you begin to sacrifice your future for the present. But laziness comes to an end when you see the importance of productivity. Productivity is important because the more productive you are, the more at peace you can be when trouble arises. The squirrel that gathers nuts in the summer does not have to worry as much in the winter. The time to prepare for winter is in the summer, and winter will always come, no matter how infinite the summer may feel at the time. And although laziness is important to combat, there's another equally important extreme we have to fight against: slavishness. Just as it's important not to spend all our time in comfort and leisure, it's important not to spend all our time working and slaving away. What's the point of making progress if it's not enjoyable, if it doesn't lead us to our greatest potential? There's a Brazilian story that pinpoints the flaw of mindless progress. A fisherman is out on his boat, enjoying the sun and catching fish. Not only does he make progress towards becoming a better fisherman and providing for his family, but he also enjoys the progress he makes and takes adequate time in the evenings to rest so that he can fish some more the next day. He's productive now, but he will also remain productive in the future. One day, while out on his boat, he comes across a businessman. "You need to think bigger," says the businessman to the fisherman. "You need to hire someone to help you catch the fish."
"Why is that?"
says the fisherman, "because then you will be able to catch more fish than you do now." "And then what?" "And then you will have a surplus amount of fish, and you can sell that surplus for more money." "Oh yeah, and then what?" "You can use that money to employ more fishermen under you." "And then what will come after that?" "Don't you understand? You can use those fishermen to make even more profits. Then you can use those profits to buy a bigger boat with a net and a crew, and then you can use that team to catch 100 times more fish than you currently do." "And then what?" said the fisherman. The businessman grew frustrated. "Then you will have so much money that you can do whatever you want." "But I am doing what I want right now," said the fisherman. This tale perfectly illustrates the idiocy of mindless progress and overworking. Focusing on progress for the sake of progress can really distract us from achieving the meaningful life that most of us are truly seeking. The solution to this problem, then, lies in the middle between laziness and slavishness. I call that middle joyful productivity. Joyful productivity is about spending your energy in a way that allows you to make meaningful progress each day and avoid the catastrophes of laziness. Joyful productivity prevents you from being the lazy grasshopper or the slavish businessman. To live a joyfully productive life, we all rely on each other to get by in this world. No one is totally self-sufficient. That means we have to make or do stuff that's useful to others if we want to thrive. The key is to focus all of your attention on one area of expertise. You can become a master in it. The joyfully productive person must create something valuable and exchange it with others for money, and they will use that money to survive and thrive. It should be something that you are interested in and passionate about, because only then will you be able and willing to spend the immense amount of time and effort it takes to become a master in any field. This is what the philosopher Adam Smith meant when he went on about the virtues of specialization. A master in any field, whether an artist, musician, or athlete, must develop strong judgment to discern the best next step to take in their work. A master develops their judgments and taste to the point that they can discern between small details that the ordinary person doesn't even think about. And developing this kind of discernment requires an obsession over the art. The end of both laziness and slavishness begins with the discovery of your passions. And as Nietzsche said, let the youthful soul look back on life with the question, what have you truly loved up to now? What has drawn your soul aloft? What has mastered it and at the same time blessed it? Set up these revered objects before you, and perhaps their nature and their sequence will give you a law, the fundamental law of your own true self. Examine the things that spoke to you and captured your interest ever since you were a child, before the world told you what you had to care about. The way forward lies within the examination of those early interests. Fight against laziness, otherwise the world will destroy you. Fight against slavishness, otherwise you will destroy yourself. Discover your passion, turn it into mastery, solve a difficult problem, turn the solution into a product or service, sell it, use the profits to get better at your craft, and then rinse and repeat until your life is over. That is the path to a joyfully productive life. Thank you for joining me on this odyssey, and like the video if you found this helpful. If you want to learn more, check out the description for additional links, and subscribing is a form of bookmarking the channel to see more of our awesome content. With that, I'll see you next time.